Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. Very interesting news coming out this week with suggestions that Jacques Nienaber could depart Leinster very shortly after winning the URC and more than a year out from when his contract expires, which is in July 2026. And with that sort of exit, lots of rumors sparking about where is he going if he does leave. Is he going to come back to South Africa? Does that mean he's going to go back into the box setup? Could he get a South African franchise job? Or are there going to be big money offers on the table from teams in the Premiership as well as the top 14 who are known to pay a lot better than potentially some of the other sort of clubs that he will probably be linked to? A very interesting situation. Now, I mean, to go from a World Cup winning head coach to an assistant coach must be quite an interesting transition. But also, you're going into a Leinster, for example. You're not going into your everyday type of club. You're going into an institution which has been known as one of the top clubs in the world, and arguably sort of top 4 or 5 clubs. The recent trophy drought might sort of suggest they're not, but you look at the players, you look at the systems, you look at the way it's run, you look at the coaching staff, for example. They are one of sort of the top clubs who have criminally underperformed, to be honest, but have finally got their sort of trophy, and I think Jacques Nienaber has been a big part of that. So before we get into it, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. So very, very interesting. Obviously, he's just won the URC, and Leinster have been in that bit of a trophy drought for the last few years. They've not won a Champions Cup post-COVID. They've not won the URC before until last weekend. Now, I do think that this could be a situation of once they got the first, which was last weekend, they might go on to win a few now, to be honest. I think it's a bit of a monkey off the back type of thing. And sometimes you need that one win just to kind of open the floodgates, to give you the belief that you can, as opposed to sort of the psychological scarring that I think lots of players sort of carried with the fact that they'd consistently gotten to semi-finals, finals, and come up short. You know, it takes a lot of BMT to be able to win trophies. It's one thing to be able to dominate group stages, get to finals even, but to win them is a whole different thing. We saw that with the Lions, getting to 3 Super Rugby finals in a row, not being able to get over the line. And Leinster have kind of become a bit like that in the last few years. Now, Jacques Nienaber, there's no doubt, has made a big impact at Leinster. You know, obviously, they've always been a very good attacking side. They're a side that score tries for fun. They're a side that can hurt you. But defensively, they have sometimes been very poor. And especially in the last few years, you know, you think about those comebacks from La Rochelle. Also, I think mentally, maybe a bit poor and far too susceptible to sort of those, disaster games where they kind of sort of just break apart and come loose. Now, I think that's a big reason why Leinster went for Jacques Nienaber, to try and create that mental toughness as well as that sort of solid defense, which they can rely on and go have games where they can squeeze games out. The biggest thing about Leinster, I think, in the last few years is that it wasn't about them not being able to score 20, 30 points. It was about them not being able to concede, fewer than 10 type of thing, because that's when you win tournaments. The Springboks defense has won them 2 World Cups. The fact that it's so difficult to score against them. 2023 maybe wasn't as good as 2019, but we added a decent a component to our attack, and that sort of complemented our defense. And finding that sort of balance is the big thing. Now, the question is, why would he go? Well, first of all, suggestions are from a wage point of view. Leinster not known for paying particularly well compared to what clubs in the Premiership, for example, clubs in the top 14 are going to offer. And now you're talking about a coach who has won the World Cup twice as assistant coach, British and Irish Lions and World Cup. Well, one as assistant coach, one as a head coach, won the British and Irish Lions series as a head coach. He's now gone to Leinster, and within 2 years, he's won the URC as well. He's got them to finals. So he should be one of the most sought-after coaches in World Rugby. And there's big suggestions that as a result, he's going to have big offers coming from France, big offers coming from England. And I think it's probably right. I think that lots of clubs will be looking at him saying, cheapers, what we could do with having a Jacques Nienaber in charge. I think that's the big thing, a head coach role versus an assistant coach role. Because there was question marks, obviously, when he took over, whether he was right to be a Springbok head coach, And yes, Rassie Erasmus was still kind of above him, but he still took on that role. And lots of people spoke about the fact that maybe he's not quite experienced now because he'd never been a head coach before. Well, in his first job as head coach, he won a World Cup. And, I think now people, especially with chasing the sun, there's no longer that doubt that he could do a job as a head coach, that, that is where his skills can be utilized. He's more than just a defense coach. So the big question is, if he were to leave, is he going to France? Is he going to a Premiership club? Is he going to come back to South Africa? I mean, imagine the Lions, for example, were to bring in a Jacques Nienaber. It would never happen, but I could see him at the Bulls. He's obviously from Cape Town, so Stormers is kind of where he'd probably like to go back, and that's where he sort of started his journey. Well, Free State and Stormers as well with Rassie, but he'd be a huge addition to come back. But I think the big thing at the moment is if he comes back, SA Rugby will want to have him. My biggest issue is as much as he's got that phenomenal relationship with Rassie Erasmus, there is a situation of too many cooks can, spoil the broth type of thing. And we do have all of a sudden a lot of Springbok coaches. When you think that you've got Rassie Erasmus, you've got Tony Brown's coming, Jay Flannery's coming, you've got Dwayne Fumoni's joined the coaching staff, Felix Jones has come back, you've still got Zwantia Stick, you've still got Don Human, you've still got so the likes of Andy Edwards, for example. You've so you've got lots of other coaches in and around the mix. So now add a Jacques Nienaber into the mix, Dion Davis, that's who I'm missing, Dion Davis as well, and you still now got to try and fit a Jacques Nienaber into the mix. I think you struggle to do that. What's very interesting is the fact that his contract does expire 1 year before the World Cup. So there's always been this kind of unwritten sort of or even unsaid acceptance that there is the chance that he swoops back to the Springboks and helps Scotch, World Cup 23. Lots of people have gone as far as to say that he's actually on a spying mission over there, kind of looking at Irish rugby, trying to understand how it works, and then he's going to come bring that IP back to the box and use that to help us win another World Cup. Not sure I'll go that far, to be perfectly honest, but there is the possibility for something like that to happen because the contract will sort of align with that. I mean, people were also suggesting that Felix Jones went to England and now came back to the box. My biggest problem at the moment is I just don't see where we find the space for Jacques Nienaber in his current coach staff. If a Jerry Flannery were to step out, for example, step away, then potentially comes back and fills that role. But without that space being there, I just think that we're going to suddenly have a lot of coaches that are not going to be able to cope with what's going on because there is as much thing as too much coaching, and we're very lucky that we've got a very non-ego driven attitude within the Springbok coaches where none of the coaches are sitting there vying and looking to try and outprove each other. It's all just one sort of collective group of coaches who all just want one thing, and that's for the box to win things. And it works very well under the tutelage of Rassie Erasmus. The question is, do you want it? What would you want? And what would be best for him? I personally would love to go see him get a head coach job. I think from his point of view, I think he's now left Rassie Erasmus and he's done well. I would love to go see him as a head coach of a big side and go and prove himself. Like Johan van Kraan, for example, what a season he's had at Bath. Imagine Jacques Nienaber can go do that with a Bath or Saracens or something like that. Or come back and grab a franchise. And let's see, I mean, could Jacques Nienaber revolutionize Alliance, for example? Could he take Stormers to the top? Could he finally be the missing link that maybe a Bulls need? What do you think? Where would you most like to see him? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash the like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.